Hey, let's talk about migration first. It's a very big issue, Jens Spahn. And one of the controversial footnotes, in many ways, a main topic right now is a controversial ban on the burqa that's being discussed. You're for that. You want to ban the burqa. Why is that?
Well, I'm very much in favor of a very open, pluralistic society. But the question is there any limit? And I think the burqa or niqab is just the opposite of our open society. And do we have to accept everything? That's the question, actually. Do we need a ban? Well, you can argue it, you can discuss it. But I think yes, because that sets a sign as well for people that might want to come to Germany from Syria or other regions of the world, that they know this is a different culture, this is a different society, and they have to know that they can't live all the habits they have back at home here in our society. And it's a sign for our population as well, that we just set a clear sign, we don't accept everything. And I think in times like this, it is important to make that clear.
Okay, so it's an important signal to the outside world and for people at home as well. What about a possible upper limit on Muslim migrants? That's being discussed as well. What do you think about that?
Well, it's not about a limit for Muslim migrants. There are two issues here in Germany. One is migration, and if we need a migration law. And migration is about, like the US do it, or Australia or other countries, that we can decide who is coming to Europe and to Germany, and that we have laws with clear criteria, especially for the labor market and qualification. And on the other side, there is a refugee and asylum regulation and framework, and that means we do help people no matter what, where they come from, which religion, and that flee from war or for political reasons. So that are two different things, and they are always mixed up in the discussions, which is not good. That's disturbing. One thing is migration, and that needs clear criteria, and the other thing is refugees.
Okay, you have been critical of that conflation of economic migrants and refugees. Do you think there should be a limit, though, say on refugees? 200,000 is a number that's been floated.
Well, to be very open, I think 200,000 is a big number. I mean, that's possible in years when there is a war in our neighborhood, like we had the one in the 90s in Yugoslavia or now in Syria. Of course, then we need to take and to help more people. But in normal years, 200,000 is quite a high number for one country like Germany. For Europe, 200,000 or 1 million, that would be easy to do if every one of the 28 member states does help, and that is not the case right now.
But so you're disappointed with the solidarity that's not being shown?
Well, this has to be solved on a European level. We can't do it alone, Sweden, Austria and Germany. But on this, we need to agree and we need to understand each other. I understand that Hungary has a different position on this because of history. But on the other hand, we have to expect that Hungary is with us when it comes to help, to support, to take into Europe refugees that are fleeing from war. What is very important for all of us, I think, is that we have security at our European border, that we can secure them, that it is us to decide who is coming and who is not, and not the smugglers. And I'm quite sure as soon as that is clear, we have control about who is coming, then Hungary and other countries will join us in taking people.
Okay, so you have a certain sympathy for Viktor Orban and the Eastern European countries, that they have a unique situation.
I understand them. That's something different. I think in the Europe of 28, we do need to understand each other. I don't like every position Hungary or Orban takes, but I try to understand why, because of what questions in his society or because of what historical questions they take it. And then I can discuss with him, but I don't like. But we shouldn't just start blaming each other. First of all, we should start to understand each other. I try to understand UK as well, why they might have taken this decision they took.
So keep the channels open, keep talking, respect for different positions. Okay, we're going to look at something else right now. The far-right AfD party under Frauke Petry, they've been making a lot of waves politically here in Germany. And it's basically a one-party issue. You said, I don't want to have the AfD as a coalition partner. I want to render the AfD surplus to requirements, so superfluous. There can be no democratically legitimate party to the right of the CDU-CSU. Okay, so does that mean the AfD is out as a coalition partner completely, the CDU, and if you would like to have your way, will move to the right?
Well, no. Actually, it's about our core issues as a Christian Democratic Union. It's about law and order. That is obviously an issue we haven't done enough in the past years. It's about integration. There are millions of good examples of integration, of people who became part of our societies here in Europe. But take London, Toulouse, Rotterdam or Cologne, it's always the same or the same area of which people came. It's the Arabic and North African area where we have problems with integration, where we have people that don't want to integrate. And we have to discuss this. And that's actually our core issues. And if we don't discuss it in a very sensitive way, of course, but we have to be very frank discussing it, then we can get back the voters that just have doubts or questions. Many of the voters of the AfD have doubts in these issues, and as soon as we have clear answers, I'm quite sure we can regain these voters.
Okay, but the AfD has raised similar issues that you've raised: tighter border
But
controls, Burqa ban.
one big difference. They kind of play with racist and nationalistic paroles or sentences. They try even to get connection to the Nazi milieu here in Germany. And as soon as it comes to human rights and to the value of each single human being, then there is no ground for discussing. And that must be a clear line, and that's a clear line we set.
Okay, fair enough. Now, you've said as well that just right now that you want to focus on the core conservative values. Some would say, well, that's a return back to the Helmut Kohl days of the 1990s. We want to move forward. That's all a page from the past. What would you say to that?
Well, that's actually the opposite. We always were the pro-European party, and we still are. We want this European project to succeed. And for this, obviously, we need secure European borders. We need a common refugee and migration policy. We need to secure our neighborhood. That's Helmut Kohl, and that's Angela Merkel, too. That's our party, CDU. Law and order is not just an issue for right-wing people. I know people here in Berlin, left friends, or friends from the left wing, that love to go to party till 4 in the morning. But if they leave the club, they want to have a secure way home, a safe way home, and not being afraid of someone beating them up or something. So, into security, just the feeling of being secure in public places on your way home, even at night, that's not left or right. That's just a question for everyone.
Jens Spahn, let me jump in there. What does that mean in technical terms? Do you want more police, more money for police, tougher border controls, German troops out at the border? How are you going to get that done?
Well, we do need more police. We are increasing the number of staff we have in the federal police, and now the federal states, which are actually the ones that have to or that are responsible for the police domestically. They are increasing the numbers too. We do need more police. We thought in an aging society you might have less policemen. That's obviously not the case in a society that gets more heterogeneous. And secondly, we need some new laws, for example, when it comes to people who, like we have it now at the train station in Frankfurt, young men, for the 50th or 40th time, they are caught by the police dealing with drugs. And after 1 hour...
especially the Moroccan population in the Rhineland, for example.
It's a North African issue, yeah. For some North African migrants as well. It's especially them. And then every time the police caught them, the
judges, right?
A judge says, well, we know where he lives, he can go again. And that's a very difficult sign to say to young people that you do something, the police catches you, and then after 1 hour, you are just on the street again. And we need to change these laws to set clear signs for these young men, as well for our own population.
Okay, and what about at the border? What can be done there? And in terms of deportation, there's been a discussion here that there should be a quicker deportation of asylum seekers who don't get asylum.
Yes, we have up to 500,000 people living here in Germany that tried to get asylum, but came from countries where there is no war or not for political political reason, and actually they have to leave Germany again. Some of them are in the country still after some years. They get, by the way, social welfare every month. And of course the population, our people are discussing it. Why shall we pay for them? Why don't they have to leave? And that is a very complicated case because it's of legal procedures, of decisions by judges, a legal framework within the Constitution, by the way, the right for asylum seeking. But we have to make it more easy and more fast to get these people back home again.
You've touched on a very important issue, that 500 million economic migrants, economic refugees, basically, who are not being sent home. That is one of the reasons the AfD has been gaining 500,000, gaining at the polls. You know, your party, the CDU, is deeply in crisis. So this message is coming for voters at the right time. Let's take a look at this graphic as we could. At the last German election, 2013, your party took 42% of the votes cast. We can get that graphic up, that'd be great, a whopping result. Now, since then, more than a million refugees have come to Germany. Now, that has cost the CDU dearly if we make the connection between migration and the fall in the vote. Now, this week, one poll even put the CDU support at under 30%.
Well,
is that all due to migration?
No, because as we just discussed, issues about crime, about integration, this big number of people coming into Germany within a very short period of time brought up issues that have been there before, but weren't discussed very open. And so we are discussing all of them now. And I mean, this society is polarized and politicized as it has not been, I don't know, for decades perhaps, for a long period of time.
Very polarized.
There are tensions within a society. You can feel it in every family, by the way. When you go to work, when you discuss with friends, everyone is discussing it. Everyone has different minds, different opinions. It's very political right now. And in such a time, it is quite normal that we might lose some votes, but we have to regain trust. That's the problem. Especially the situation 12 months ago when we were not able to secure our border, our European border. Then we lost lots of people and the trust of people.
It's an uphill battle, though, isn't it?
But sorry?
It's an uphill battle. It's a lot of work regaining trust.
Of course it is a lot of work regaining trust, but we have to do it. And I'm quite sure we have the right answers. On a European level, take the EU-Turkey agreement, the closing of the Balkan route, the agreements we try to get now with the North African states. This is the solution to it, that not smugglers decide who to come, but we decide who to come. And we have to make very clear to the people and to explain to the people what we have done, and we have done a lot domestically and on a European level just to get back control.
Okay, getting control, migration, identity. Let's look at an issue of identity. Another quote I'd like to take of yours. And you said that no society can cope when it comes to defining who can become part of it and under what conditions. Germany cannot function as a complex, modern society that it is, with the best social services in the world, if practically anyone can join it simply by crossing the border. Jens Spahn, is it time for a national debate on identity in Germany?
Well, that is actually not about identity. It's about our social welfare system we have in Europe. I mean, people pay contribution and taxes in the confidence that in the case they have a problem, they lose their jobs, they need help, they get the help from society, from the state. But that does not work if many people within a short period of time come into the country, get social benefits as well, without ever having paid for it any contribution or taxes. That works with lower numbers of refugees. Of course, people want to help, but as soon as there is a big number, there is discussion, and it is all over Europe. It is the same discussion in the United States, but there's one big difference. If you're unemployed in the United States, actually you don't get any money. In Europe, and we want to keep it that way, you get support by the state, by the society, by the others that are around you. But for this, we need to control migration. Of course, we want to let people in. And of course, by the way, we want this freedom of movement that we have within the European Union. But it can't be just for social benefits that people come to Germany or to Europe.
Okay, now you are the Deputy Finance Minister. Isn't it one way forward to put a budget on that and say, this is how many people we can take, these are the number of people that need to be repatriated? Isn't there a number that can be put on how these social benefits can be protected?
Well, you can discuss numbers if it comes to migration. I mean, we have the freedom of movement within Europe, and there are several hundred thousands young Europeans living now in Germany, working here, and they can come and go, and that is a very good thing to have, by the way. I just have to say to my British friends that freedom of movement is a good thing in Europe. But if it comes to migration from outside of Europe, of course we can set limits. And we can say, as other countries do, how many we take.
That would be a very big national debate.
That would be a very big national debate. We have to discuss it. But I say again, that's a separate debate from the one about refugees.
Okay.
Refugees that reach Europe, that reach Germany, will get support. No matter what, but for this we need to have a European asylum system. So not just one or two countries, Sweden and Germany, can take this burden.
Limiting migration, but staying true to Germany's roots in the asylum laws after the war. You just mentioned your British friends and the Brexit. I introduced you saying Britain's Guardian has suggested that you might be a candidate for Germany's next chancellor. Are they onto something, or did they go too far?
Well, how did Obelix say they are crazy, the Brits? Well, I really do want to win the next elections with Angela Merkel as our chancellor, because she is the source of stability in Europe. Just have a look what's going on in Spain, where there is not yet a government after almost 1 year. With UK yes, 2 elections, perhaps a third one. UK on the leave. France before elections in a very difficult domestic situation. Italy is just waiting for a referendum in December. So right now, Germany is a kind of a source of stability in Europe. I know from many talks that I have with European friends and colleagues all over Europe. And Angela Merkel is actually the core of this stability. And I want to win the next election with her.
Okay, Jens Spahn, Deputy German Finance Minister. Good luck in your ventures, and thank you so much for being with us today.
It's a pleasure.